Chapter 15 of Skullface by Robert E. Howard. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Chapter 15 The Mark of the Tulwar. The fed wolf curls by his drowsy mate in a tight-trod earth, but the lean wolves wait. Monday. I sat alone in John Gordon's apartments and laughed mirthlessly. In spite of the elixir's stimulus, the strain of the previous night, with its loss of sleep and its heart-rending actions, was telling on me. My mind was a chaotic whirl wherein the faces of Gordon, Kathulos, and Zuleika shifted with numbing swiftness. All the mass of information Gordon had given to me seemed jumbled and incoherent. Through this state of being, one fact stood out boldly. I must find the latest hiding place of the Egyptian and get Zuleika out of his hands, if indeed she still lived. A week, Gordon had said. I laughed again. A week, and I would be beyond aiding anyone. I had found the proper amount of elixir to use, knew the minimum amount my system required, and knew that I could make the flask last me 4 days at most. 4 days. 4 days in which to comb the rat-holes of Limehouse and Chinatown. 4 days in which to ferret out, somewhere in the mazes of East End, the lair of Kathulos. I burned with impatience to begin, but nature rebelled, and staggering to a couch, I fell upon it and was asleep instantly. Then someone was shaking me. "Wake up, Mr. Costigan." I sat up, blinking. Gordon stood over me, his face haggard. "There's devil's work done, Costigan. The scorpion has struck again." I sprang up, still half asleep and only partly realizing what he was saying. He helped me into my coat, thrust my hat at me, and then his firm grip on my arm was propelling me out of his door and down the stairs. The streetlights were blazing. I had slept an incredible time. "A logical victim," I was aware that my companion was saying. "He should have notified me the instant of his arrival." "I don't understand," I began dazedly. We were at the curb now, and Gordon hailed a taxi, giving the address of a small and unassuming hotel in a staid and prim section of the city. "The Baron Rokov," he rapped as we whirled along at reckless speed. "A Russian freelance, connected with the War Office. He returned from Mongolia yesterday, and apparently went into hiding. Undoubtedly, he had learned something vital in regard to the slow waking of the East. He had not yet communicated with us, and I had no idea that he was in England until just now." "And you learned?" "The Baron was found in his room, his dead body mutilated in a frightful manner." The respectable and conventional hotel which the doomed Baron had chosen for his hiding place was in a state of mild uproar, suppressed by the police. The management had attempted to keep the matter quiet, but somehow the guests had learned of the atrocity, and many were leaving in haste, or preparing to, as the police were holding all for investigation. The Baron's room, which was on the top floor, was in a state to defy description. Not even in the Great War have I seen a more complete shambles. Nothing had been touched. All remained just as the chambermaid had found it a half-hour since. Tables and chairs lay shattered on the floor, and the furniture, floor and walls were spattered with blood. The Baron, a tall, muscular man in life, lay in the middle of the room, a fearful spectacle. His skull had been cleft to the brows. A deep gash under his left armpit was shorn through his ribs, and his left arm hung by a shred of flesh. The cold, bearded face was set in a look of indescribable horror. "Some heavy curved weapon must have been used," said Gordon. "Something like a saber, wielded with terrific force. See where a chance blow sank inches deep into the window-sill? And again, the thick back of this heavy chair has been split like a shingle. A saber, surely." "A Tulwar," I muttered somberly. "Do you not recognize the handiwork of the Central Asian butcher? Yar Khan has been here." "The Afghan. He came across the roofs, of course, and descended to the window ledge by means of a knotted rope made fast to something on the edge of the roof. About 1:30, the maid, passing through the corridor, heard a terrific commotion in the Baron's room, A smashing of chairs and a sudden short shriek which died abruptly into a ghastly gurgle and then ceased, to the sound of heavy blows, curiously muffled, such as a sword might make when driven deep into human flesh. Then all noises stopped suddenly. She called the manager, and they tried the door, and finding it locked and receiving no answer to their shouts, opened it with the desk key. Only the corpse was there, but the window was open. This is strangely unlike Kathulos' usual procedure. It lacks subtlety. Often his victims have appeared to have died from natural causes. I scarcely understand. I see little difference in the outcome, I answered. There is nothing that can be done to apprehend the murderer as it is. True, Gordon scowled. We know who did it, but there is no proof, not even a fingerprint. Even if we knew where the Afghan is hiding and arrested him, we could prove nothing. There would be a score of men to swear alibis for him. The Baron returned only yesterday. Kathulos probably did not know of his arrival until tonight. He knew that on the morrow Rokhoff would make known his presence to me and impart what he learned in northern Asia. The Egyptian knew he must strike quickly, and lacking time to prepare a safer and more elaborate form of murder, he sent the Afridi with his Tulwar. There is nothing we can do, at least not until we discover the Scorpion's hiding place. What the Baron had learned in Mongolia we shall never know, but that it dealt with the plans and aspirations of Kathulos we may be sure. We went down the stairs again and out on the street, accompanied by one of the Scotland Yard men, Hanson. Gordon suggested that we walk back to his apartment, and I greeted the opportunity to let the cool night air blow some of the cobwebs out of my mazed brain. As we walked along the deserted streets, Gordon suddenly cursed savagely. This is a veritable labyrinth we are following, leading nowhere. Here, in the very heart of civilization's metropolis, the direst enemy of that civilization commits crimes of the most outrageous nature and goes free. We are children, wandering in the night, struggling with an unseen evil, dealing with an incarnate devil of whose true identity we know nothing and whose true ambitions we can only guess. Never have we managed to arrest one of the Egyptian's direct henchmen, and the few dupes and tools of his we have apprehended have died mysteriously before they could tell us anything. Again I repeat, what strange power has Kathulos that dominates these men of different creeds and races? The men in London with him are, of course, mostly renegades, slaves of dope, but his tentacles stretch all over the East. Some dominance is his, the power that sent the Chinaman Li Kung back to kill you in the face of certain death, that sent Yar Khan the Muslim over the roofs of London to do murder, that holds Zuleika the Circassian in unseen bonds of slavery. Of course we know, he continued after a brooding silence, that the East has secret societies which are behind and above all considerations of creeds. There are cults in Africa and the Orient whose origin dates back to Ophir and the fall of Atlantis. This man must be a power in some or possibly all of these societies. Why, outside the Jews, I know of no Oriental race which is so cordially despised by the other Eastern races as the Egyptians. Yet here we have a man, an Egyptian by his own word, controlling the lives and destinies of Orthodox Muslims, Hindus, Shintos, and devil-worshippers. It's unnatural. Have you ever, he turned to me abruptly, heard the ocean mentioned in connection with Kathulos? Never. There's a widespread superstition in northern Africa, based on a very ancient legend, that the great leader of the colored races would come out of the sea. And I once heard a Berber speak of the scorpion as the son of the ocean. That is a term of respect among that tribe, is it not? Yes. Still, I wonder sometimes. End of chapter 15.